Hey guys, Hooked to Clash here, and today we're back with part 2 of the Ultimate Blizz LALO guide. Now, if you haven't watched part 1, please go back and watch it. I'll link it right above me now, because everything we talked in that is going to be assumed knowledge for today. In that, we talked about ring and teaser bases, but also just the general way to break down bases with Blizz LALO. So ring and teaser bases are a bit easier for Blizz LALO than box bases and diamond bases, which we're talking about today. And we're going to introduce some new concepts that we haven't talked about previously. So make sure you go and watch part 1 before you go and try and watch today's video. So in today's video, we're going to focus, as I said, on box bases and diamond bases. And I'm going to give you a whole load of tips to getting the 3 stars and the 40 cups on these bases. Okay, so box bases are very tough to attack. They're ultimately not actually too bad for Blizzard LALO if you can avoid the baits. Box bases love to bait, particularly Blizzards, on this style of base. So I'm going to give you guys a checklist today to make sure that you don't get baited, and if you can pull off the Blizzard, then you're going to be set up for success. Now, one thing about box bases that we can notice here, so this is obviously my box base link. If you don't have it already, get it, because it's kind of OP. But one thing about box bases is generally the style of compartments are the exact same on every base. So I'm going to give you guys a checklist today and 4 options for the best places to blizz on any given box base. So let's just get straight into it now. So on any given box base, there are 4 different compartments that you should blizz into. And essentially what you're going to do, you're going to look at the 4 and decide which one's the best on any given base. And that's going to change depending on a few things, and we'll talk about that in a second. But option number 1, this backend multi-comp. Generally, there's a lot of value from this comp. Sometimes it can be baited, as you can tell with this one. There's room for giant bombs here. But ultimately, it's generally a pretty good compartment to blizz into. Option number 2, this airbow compartment here. It's not always an airbow that's there, but this compartment that's kind of like next to the eagle is almost always on every base. Now, obviously this base is symmetrical, so that includes this compartment as well. But we're just going to focus on the top side of the base. Option number 3 to blizzard into is the scattershot compartment. And this almost never changes. The only thing that will change about this compartment is the size and what's with the scattershot. Otherwise, the scattershot is always here and it's always a good option. And option number 4 is the town hall compartment. So when you go and find any box base, you have these 4 options for blizz compartments that you can land in on 90% of box bases. And it's all about, sorry, let me actually get this confined for you all. It's all about picking the right option. And I'm going to give you guys a checklist today to make sure you pick the right option. Okay, so the checklist is item number 1, can you pull the CC with your blizzard? Item number 2, can you scout for seeking air mines and tornado traps? Number 3 are ground traps, that is the giant bomb. An issue. And number 4 is, do we have a sweeper to contend with our blimp? Now, the sweeper is the only option of those which would make you stop doing the blizzard, but it still is something we have to consider. So let's apply this checklist to all the compartments we talked about before. So we'll kind of zoom in like that. So compartment number 1, this multi-comp. So let's go to the checklist. 1, do we get a CC pull? No. It's physically impossible from this back-end multi-comp to get a CC pull. So, already, nice and easy for us, we can put we can put a yellow cross through that compartment. Simply put, we are not going to blizzard that compartment. So let's go to checklist. Let's go to option number 2, which is this airbow compartment. Can we get a CC pull from there? Yes, absolutely we can get a CC pull, so we pass that. Can we scout for seeking air mines? I think the answer to this has to be no. So we could send a hound to this air defense here, and that would get all the seeking air mines before that. But if there's seeking air mines here, how are we going to pull them? We can't pull it with a hound. Even if we invis this air defense, our hound's just going to go to the other air defense here, so we wouldn't be able to pull it like that. Ultimately, we can't pull these seeking air mines. Now, some of the time, very rarely, I would say, if you still don't pass this second checklist item, you can still go and do the blizzard, but That's only if you think there is no way that the defender's going to be baiting that blimp. And on this base, that's not the case, because look at the value you can get from this compartment. You can get the multi, the eagle, the scatter, and the CC pull, and this sweeper. So you have to assume that the base defender is going to be trying to protect that compartment. He will not want you to get a Blizzard in there, because he knows he's more likely than not going to be tripled. So you have to expect seeking air mines in this area here, and there's no way we can pull it. So safe to say, that Blizzard is also not safe. So we put a cross here, and we put a cross through here. Now the next compartment, the scatter shot compartment. So can we get a CC pull? Well, yes. Not in the entire compartment, but we can get a CC pull there. Can we scout for seeking air mines? Well, yes. There's this air defense quite here, which is perfect. We can send a hound kind of like that. We need to make sure it doesn't go to this air defense, but we can send a hound across, get to that air defense, pull all the seeking air mines there, and make it pretty safely. And number 3, are ground traps an issue? Well, not really, because have a look. We'll get rid of this arrow, but have a look inside this blue sort of arc here. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Inside this blue arc, there's only single gaps. So there could be a lot of mini bombs in there, but there's no room for giant bombs. It's pretty safe to say that the ground traps aren't an issue. So we passed that as well. Now the last thing is the sweeper going to be an issue? The answer for this is obviously yes. We are going to be fighting a sweeper to get the blimp in this compartment. Now, as I said before, this is the only sort of item on your checklist where it's not going to prevent you from doing the Blizzard. However, you do have to consider it, because it means you're going to have to invest 1, if not 2 freezes on that sweeper. But overall, this compartment gets a tick from me. It's not perfect, but it gets a tick. And the last compartment is that Town Hall compartment. Now, Town Hall compartments are a little interesting, because A, you don't have to just use the blimp. You can also use the Stone Slammer as part of a Slizzard. However, I wouldn't recommend you do that unless you're very experienced with the army, because there are so many things that can go wrong with that, aka Teslas pulling your Stone Slammer, away. Now, in terms of blizzarding this Town Hall, there is a couple of ways you can do it. Obviously, if you want to be safest, you'd send your blimp like this, and you'd get the Town Hall almost 100%. But most people, when they blizzard this compartment, they want to come in like this, because they figure if I land it here, I'm much more likely to get this ground boat and the single. And if you get that, I will say that's pretty insane value. But a few things you have to consider first. Let me get rid of all of that, sorry. A, there's almost always giant bombs here. And B, if there's seeking air mines anywhere, they're actually going to be right... I'll change the color. But if there's going to be seeking air mines anywhere, they're right here. So if you actually want to do a safe blimp for the Town Hall, the best way to do it, believe it or not, is to send the hound like this to get those seeking air mines there, and send the blimp like that with a Coco loon. Just make sure you don't send it in range of the queen though, because otherwise the queen will ruin your day. Just a little heads up for you guys if you are going to do that. But it is risky. So like I said, if you want the safest possible blimp way to the Town Hall, it's like this, or you put a Stone Slammer here, and it goes there, and you open it like that. Now, let's do the checklist, though. Now that I've talked about the couple of ways to blizzard that compartment, let's go through the checklist. Can you get the CC pull? Yes, I don't need to even click on the CC for that. Can we scout for SAMs? Yes, we can. We absolutely can do that. Loons are going to get us great tanking to where we want to land. Our ground trap's an issue. They're a mild issue, as you can tell. There is room in here for them, but we're pretty confident we can navigate it if we do it right. And fourth, is the sweeper an issue? No. So ultimately, from all of this, we have a tick here and a tick here, and I've got replays on for you guys on both of these entries. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the Town Hall one. Now, I could have shown you the blimp, but I feel like you guys understand how to do that, so I figured I'd show the Stone Slammer. Now, I made a critical mistake here. I didn't send a Coco loon. If a couple of Teslas had pulled or seeking air mines, then we would be in a lot of trouble. Thankfully, because it's my own base link, I get away with it. But if you guys are going to do a Slizzard, make sure you use one, if not 2, Coco balloons. Now, Super Wizards target the Town Hall immediately. We get the single down as well. That's super nice. Now, there is a bunch of giant bombs literally directly below where the Hound is now. But we get super lucky. The Super Wizards aren't actually jumping on the giant bombs there. Normally, they would. because these giant bombs are set up for a blimp. They're not as well set up for the Stone Slammer, and look at that value there. So even though, yes, we went for only the Town Hall, we actually get really good value by doing it. A ground bow and a single, and there go the ground traps there. And it's, in terms of what to do with the Sui after you blizzard the Town Hall, it's almost the exact same that we talked about the other day. Use the funnel from the blizzard that you got when we got the Town Hall, or funnel from the Slizzard in this case. King and Queen to go down the middle. As you can tell, we just use a Headhunter to help take down the Queen. And guess where the Royal Champion's going to be coming in? If you guys have done your homework, you know exactly where she's going to come in about 3, 2, 1, there she is. She's there to funnel the bottom side. Because whilst we aren't trying to Sui into the core of the base here to go and get a core Town Hall like on the ring bases, I want that Eagle down. That Eagle is such a pain for our LALO. But one other benefit that I haven't actually talked about of going for the Town Hall on these box bases is generally you need maximum 3 invis spells. You generally won't need the 4th one because you're just not going for that many buildings. So I use 2 invis here for the Queen and the RC, so they help get that down. There's obviously no point saving the invis for the LALO because it's so hard to use. And look, I know I'm not planning on putting the LALO guide out to the year 2043, but I'm pretty confident that most of you watching this now could LALO this even without that guide. This base is absolutely collapsed. Now, obviously, I've done the army for a bit longer than you all, but if you just obey the simple steps we talked about the other day, then this is absolutely doable. Let's have a look at the other entry on the base. Okay, so the other entry we talked about on the base is coming in with the Blizzard over into this scattershot compartment. Now, as you can tell, I froze the sweeper really early there, and I've got a rule for the sweeper with you guys. Freeze earlier than later. If you freeze late, you're often going to find yourself swagging the spell, because the sweeper gets the shot off anyway, and your freeze is not doing anything. So yes, freeze earlier rather than later. Now, one thing I haven't talked about at all in any of the guides is actually specifically landing your blimp. Because as you can tell, we'll get the CC range out again, but I could have landed anywhere inside this radius. But why did I choose to land as far in the compartment as possible? Well, it's to kill this scattershot is the main reason. Because if I landed the blimp right here, imagine trying to take down this scattershot. It would be very difficult to get my super wizards to target, because if I put an invis on top, straight on top of my super wizards, look at that. The scatter is invisible too. I would have to do a crazy invis like that, which is very difficult to pull off. So what do? I leave as much distance as possible between the scatter and my blimp, whilst also landing in the CC range. And as you can tell, it's going to work really well for us here, so we'll continue on the replay. And look at that. That first invis gets really close to invising the scatter, but even with a poorly placed invis, we're still not invising it. So particularly those big targets, particularly actually heroes as well, as you're going to see the Royal Champion on this one, try and leave as much space between them as you safely can. Obviously, don't endanger the safety of your Blizzard just to do that. But it just makes your life so much easier. And as you can tell, this Blizzard's getting really solid value. We've already pulled out the entire clan castle, and our super wizards haven't even hit a ground trap yet. As you can tell, still only using 4 invis, because you guys know the rule. We don't need to do 4 zoom-ins on my face again for you to understand that. Now, we're going to talk about something here that we haven't talked about the entire time, and this is going to be extremely important when it comes to the diamond bases. But now, when we're doing these style blizzards, when we're not getting the Town Hall, and we're going for like this sort of funnel, we have to obviously Sui the Town Hall. But on ring bases and on teaser bases, you generally need almost all of your heroes to get the Town Hall. But let's have a look at this base here. I don't need many heroes to get this Town Hall. This Town Hall building, when we blizzard this compartment, and also when we blizzard this compartment, is extremely, it's extremely isolated. Look at it. There is no value near it and not a lot of damage. So what's the point in sending our king with our queen? So this is the first step I'm going to tell you guys for suing on box and diamond bases is, do I need my barbarian king with the queen? And I mean, up to you guys on this one, but my answer has to be no. We use a couple of loons to take out that archer tower so I can get this archer down for the CC pool, because otherwise the archer was going to be in range of the archer tower, which is just a no-go, and it's absolutely worth 2 balloons for that, because we didn't need any balloons to get our blimp in. We still got 24 now, which is plenty. So queen takes out the hound, but as you can tell, we've set ourselves a really good funnel. That queen's going to go for the town hall. Now, you could send your king if you want with the queen to the town hall, but you have to ask yourself, what additional value am I getting by putting my king with the queen? And in my eyes, you're not getting much. So what we're going to do on this, we're still using the funnel from the Blizzard. It's still kind of the similar mechanics we talked about before, but rather than sending the king with the queen and then the champ to funnel, we're just going to use the queen for the town hall. That's her sole purpose. Then we're going to use the other side of the funnel for our king and the RC, and they're going to go together and get as much value as possible. Now, why do we send the queen for the town hall? We send the queen for the town hall because she's the best hero at taking it down. The royal champion won't target it unless it's activated. The king is very bad against tornado traps, and also if a single inferno locks onto him, you have to use a freeze, whereas the queen can have that invisibility mode, and she is set. So king and RC coming in together on this bottom side. We use a headhunter to help take down this king. King and RC gonna get really good value. We're gonna speed it up to 1 times here. Still hanging on to that 1 invis. No point using it on my queen, as you can tell. She's gonna die on that town hall poison. So gonna use it in a second on my royal champion. I don't know how the eagle went after my royal champion and not the king. That was unfortunate. But as you can tell, I'm not actually going to quite get the eagle here. We're going to fall a little short, but we've gotten fantastic value. Now, obviously, the only 2 entries I've addressed in this is this compartment and this compartment. We didn't really talk about this one and this one. But ultimately, it's about employing these similar sort of things. How many heroes do I need to safely get the town hall? Can I use them elsewhere? Sort of thing. But obviously, there are still going to be scenarios where you need to Blizzard, particularly this back-end compartment, like if this CC building's over there. But on this base, and on a lot of diamond box bases, you'll see the CC near the town hall. So the most common Blizzards you'll probably use is this compartment and this compartment here. Alas, I hope that helped you guys with box bases, and let's move on to diamond bases. Okay, so we've done ring bases, we've done teaser bases and box bases, but now it's time for the final boss level. Yes, that's right. We are coming up against diamond bases now, which are pretty well known by just about every Blizz LALO pusher there is as the toughest base to Blizzard LALO. Why is this? Because generally all the value is spread out throughout the base, so it's hard to get a good value Blizzard. And it's hard to LALO because there's a lot of core multis, a lot of core scatter shots, and it's really hard to path your balloons there. Also, red bombs are 9 times out of 10 all in the core of the base. Like on this base, expect the red bombs to be all in this compartment because they're trying to make the LALO because they're trying to make the LALO as difficult as possible. But that does leave us one opening in the fact that diamond bases are pretty nice to Sui. You can get some really high value Suis. And so essentially, it's all about doing a Blizzard that sets us up for Sui value. So there's 3 main Blizzards you want to do to set up. And we're going to go through them now because there is sort of a hierarchy amongst them. And let's get straight into it. Okay, so the best Blizzard that you can do on any diamond base is to Blizzard for the town hall, but you have to get a CC pool. Now, this is not always doable. For instance, on this base, it would be very hard for us to get a CC pool with the Blizzard. It's also tough on this particular diamond. Now, this diamond's probably the toughest one there is for Blizz LALO, to be honest. It's tough on this one because you can't get these buildings, but a lot of the time, diamond bases, you'll see the town hall compartment will be like one big compartment like this. And if you can Blizz like 2/3 of that compartment and also get a CC pool, then it sets you up really nicely because the best place to Sui in these diamond bases is straight into a side. You'll often find that there is you can often get a scatter shot, an air hero, and if your Sui is really good, you can actually get the core of the base. It's very possible that we could get the Eagle Artillery if we do a good Sui. So obviously on this base, we can't pull the CC with the Blizzard, so we'd say no, but hypothetically, let's say we could, just so that you guys can understand kind of how you would do the Sui. So we would... Generally, you don't want to, like, Blizz on the corner on most diamonds. You'd much rather come from a side. But on this one, it doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of room for traps. So let's say, hypothetically, we land like a Blizzard here. One really nice thing about Blizzard in the Town Halls, you often don't need a Hound for it. Because you can often get a Coco Loon to the buildings you need to, and the Blimp makes it safely in. And let's say from that Blizzard, let's say we get something like this sort of value. And a CC pool. So what you would do, you would pick a side to Sui in, ultimately up to you. But because we've kind of blizzed more the bottom side of the Town Hall here, what I would do is start my Queen up over here, pull the CC out to her, obviously, deal with it at this location, and then have the Queen slowly walk up. And then when this cannon's about to start targeting her, put the King down here, and you want the King and Queen to go straight in here. And it's the exact same that we've talked about with the ring bases, the teaser bases, and sometimes the box bases, where you'll have the King and Queen go down the middle using the funnel from the Blizzard. Then we're going to have the RC come from the top. Now the RC might have to fight this enemy Royal Champion here. So what you probably will have to do is either invest a freeze or an invis with her and a headhunter to get the RC down. But it's absolutely worth it, because if your RC can like pop her ability and get rid of this air defense, this archer tower, and then eventually take down this ground bow, the King and Queen are going to go straight into the core of the base. On this style of base, on this particular base, with the single like this, it would be a bit tougher to Sui, but most diamond bases don't have a single like this. This is why this base is very strong, by the way. But on 9 out of 10 diamond bases, you'll get a Sui and you'll be able to push in and take out the core. And then obviously you just LALO what's left, coming behind the sweeper and going straight into the Queen and that scatter shot. So exact same thing that we've talked about all the time. So if you're blizzarding the Town Hall on a diamond with CC pull, pull the CC to the corner behind where you blizzard, King and Queen down the middle, RC for funnel. Pretty simple stuff. But because we can't blizzard the Town Hall on this base, what's the next best option on a diamond base? And the next best option is to blizzard the core compartment. And this is for pretty obvious reasons. A, you're generally going to get a lot of value from this compartment, but even if you don't, you're taking out not only the core multi, because almost on every diamond base there's a core multi. Not only are you getting the core multi, but you're getting rid of all the red bombs that are often by this core multi. It's going to make our LALO super easy and super smooth, because as you can see here, by taking out this compartment, it makes it really easy if we're LALOing that way to LALO around. The pathing's really predictable. LALOing that way, super easy to do. So, and also you will, almost on every base get a CC pull because it's the core of the base. Now, can we pull off this core compartment blizzard? And it's the exact same checklist that we talked about with the box bases. So yes, we get a CC pull. Number 2, can we scout for seeking air mines? And on this, probably the answer is no. Obviously, we don't want to land right here because of the bomb towers. So we want to kind of land in this sort of area here. And if we're going to do that, even if we send a hound like this, we're not going to pull a seeking air mine that's... we'll change the color. We're not going to pull a seeking air mine that's here, 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 or here. Now, you could, if you wanted to, put an invis on this air defense so that the hound will redirect. That's a possibility, and you could do it. Or you can take the risk. Ultimately up to you. But yeah, seeking air mines, yes and no. It's going to be a little difficult. Are ground traps an issue? No. Is the sweeper an issue? Yes. So same sort of checklist that we talked about in the box base there. So I will admit, on this particular base, that's the blizzard I do because I can't see any other blizzards on this base. This is super tough. But we're just going to talk generally for the meanwhile. So probably a no on that core compartment blizz, according to the checklist, but it's not impossible. Now, if we do that core compartment blizz, I'll talk about the Sui. So let's just say that we got sort of that value down, which is insane value. Then what you'll do, it's similar thing to what we talked about with the box base when you don't blizzard the Town Hall. Like I said, a lot of parallels between box bases and diamonds. The only difference is diamonds are more difficult. Is you'll pick a side that you want to Sui. So you're either gonna Sui this whole side or this whole side. You pick one or the other. So let's say on this one, and ultimately which one you pick. On this, because it's symmetrical, it's do you want to fight the RC or the Queen? I'd rather take out the Queen early on. So what we'll do, we'll put the queen on the corner here, but slightly below 9 o'clock. Then we're going to funnel out these buildings, maybe even those if we're feeling like we need to get them down. And essentially, we're going to deal with the CC right here. So Archer first, not the Queen. Archer to bring the CC over. And then we're going to just try and do this sort of thing with the Queen. We're going to wall break right here. Just make it impossible for her to walk around the corner, and alas, she should get the town hall from there. And as we talked about with the box spaces, there's not enough damage here that we need to use our king with the queen to go in. However, we can do some cheeky things with the king. So what you can do is, as the queen is coming down, start your king on this mortar here, but from the angle that he's going to go this way. Because we don't want him going inside the compartment, but if he can funnel for the queen and also tank a cannon for the queen, it helps, especially if there's a Tesla farm by the town hall here. You want to take as much damage off your queen as possible. Plus the king sets a funnel for himself. And then what we would do is, because we only have one wall breaker left, we would wall break down here with our king, funnel him in with like whatever funneling troops we have left here. King to go in and get the queen, and then we send the RC in like this, and her job is to try and get the scatter shot. So exact same thing as box base. Queen for the town hall, if you think she can get it by herself. Use the king, in this case, to tank a little bit for her, but have him funnel away. And then king and RC together to get a solid chunk of the funnel. And then we would probably LALO this way, and we would wreck it, because the core of the base is gone. Now, if you can't do any of those options, if you can't blizz the town hall and pull the CC, and it's impossible to get a blimp safely into the core, then the third option is simply blizz whatever compartment makes the most sense to you from there. It's ultimately a judgment call, because after the town hall compartment and the core compartment, diamonds diversify quite a fair bit. And there's never going to be like one general rule that I can tell you for all. On this base, I think the next best bet is sort of this compartment here. So you would probably kind of send a hound like this over the queen and blimp like that. Now, obviously, A, this compartment is littered with giant bombs mostly. B, if there's seeking air mines like right here and right here, I'm sorry if that's really small and hard to see, but if there's seeking air mines there, then like, yeah, you're going to get baited. But at that point, you just need to, you know, clap your hands. You got baited, and there was not a lot you can do about it. You were doing the best option. Your last possible option didn't work. Now, normally on this base, there isn't seeking air mines there, but essentially, with this third best option, you want to get a CC pull and just get as much value with as little input as possible. What do I mean by that? Well, if we land the blimp here, I just want to get this scatter shot, ground bow, and if we're lucky, this enemy queen really quickly, maybe 3 invis maximum, because we're going to save as many invis as possible for our Sui. So on this last option, generally it's not about investing a lot into your Blizzard. It's just going for a couple of targets that you can get a blimp to, pulling the CC, and then you go with your Sui from there. And obviously, if we Blizzard sort of that value there, then we'd probably send the queen into the town hall on the top side now, and then king and RC to go and get the scatter shot and the other enemy RC. And then you kind of LALO like that. And look, it's not a pretty LALO, but it's your next best alternative. It made sense most of the time. So that's diamond bases for you guys. So we'll go through it. When it comes to, it's all about the Blizzard setting up for the Sui. So, number one priority is, can we Blizzard the town hall and get the CC? If we can do that, let's do that. Sui, queen, king and queen for the core, RC to flank. If not, let's Blizzard the core of the base. Oh my god, the iPad went out. No! But you guys know what to do from here. If not, Blizzard the core of the base. And, I've lost my train of thought. The black screen threw me off. Blizzard the core of the base. Sui queen for town hall, king and RC together. And then after that, it's just a judgment call on what you guys think is the best Blizzard from there. But that's diamond bases for you all. We got one more thing before we finally finish the Blizzard LALO guide. Okay, so the last thing that we haven't actually talked about yet, and it seems like a good time to talk about it, is the actual army composition. Now, this is the army composition I bring here. This will be linked in the comments down below. But essentially, I believe this army composition that I run is probably the safest of all the Blizzard LALO variants you see. Why is it the safest? Well, firstly, we have 5 invis. That way, you're never really going to run out of invis with 5 of them. You will see Stars, for instance, he brings 4, but he's so good with the invis that he can get away with that. And the other reason I think this is the safest is because I've got the most funneling troops. What do I mean by that? Well, most other army comps won't have 2 sneaky gobs, wizard, and a baby drag. But this is just to help you guys, especially if you struggle funneling. It saves you from using minions. You've always got plenty of funneling troops for your heroes. And the last reason I think it's the safest is because we've got 3 headhunters. Most of the top Legends League players only take 2. But with so many spring traps used in Legends to get headhunters, I think 3 is personally safest, but ultimately it's up to you. I'm also down in the comments below going to link Stars and Riqirez's army comp. Riqirez's is pretty similar to mine, to be honest. He just drops 1 headhunter, so he only brings 2, and he adds a balloon and an archer. Because he would like the extra archer and balloon and only sees the need for 2 headhunters, whereas Stars actually brings an ice golem. So if you're struggling with your Suis to get any value from it, then maybe going with the ice golem is the way for you. I've seen people, particularly Stars and Katsumi, get so much value with the ice golem, but often they have to give up they give up this wizard, 1 headhunter, and 1 balloon. Is what they often have to give up to get that. But if you think that's worth it for you, if you don't think you need the 3rd headhunter or the wizard, then absolutely go with the ice golem. I'm going to link all 3 army comps down below, and ultimately it's up to you to decide. But that's it from me. Blizz LALO guys, finally over in like 70 odd minutes. I'm sorry it took so long, but I hope you guys learned something. I'm going to link below me the Blizzard LALO playlist, so you can now go and watch some of the Blizz LALO attacks we've had on the channel before and see how the best players employ these strategies to take down the bases, and maybe you can see them using these rules in action. But that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe I'll see you soon.